My life took an unexpected turn the moment I received news about an inheritance. A distant relative, someone I barely knew, had left me something extraordinary. An entire acre of land. Not just a small plot, but a vast stretch of property that suddenly became mine. At first, the feeling was surreal. A strange mix of awe and confusion washed over me. I imagined peaceful mornings, open skies, and a quiet future connected to nature. It felt like a chance to start over, a new chapter waiting to be written. But I had no idea that this gift would turn into the biggest conflict of my life. Because this wasn't just land. It was a battlefield waiting to happen. The story of my inheritance, and the fight for what was rightfully mine, truly began the day I visited the property for the first time. Excitement filled me as I drove toward what I believed was my future. I expected trees, open fields, maybe an old fence or two. Instead, I saw something that made me stop in disbelief. A sign. Small but unmistakable. A boundary marker. Then came the paved roads. Streetlights. Fresh concrete sidewalks. Foundations for houses. Entire rows of finished homes with perfectly trimmed lawns and shared community spaces. I stood there frozen, trying to process what I was seeing. An entire homeowners association, a full neighborhood, had been built on my land. My land. How is this even possible? At first, I thought there had to be a mistake. Some misunderstanding hidden in paperwork or outdated maps. But as I walked further, the reality became clear. Families lived here. Cars lined the streets. Children played in yards that legally belonged to me. Then came the letters. Official letters demanding HOA fees. Rules and regulations outlining what I could and couldn't do on my own property. That was the moment my confusion turned into anger. They had simply moved in. Built homes. Established rules. Claimed ownership without a shred of legal right. I tried to stay calm. I wanted answers, not conflict. I searched for a logical explanation, something that could make sense of the absurd situation. But every attempt to understand only deepened the mystery and strengthened my resolve. This was my inheritance. My land. My legacy. And they were treating me like the outsider. I knew this wouldn't be simple. Still, I decided to approach the HOA directly. I believed in conversation, in resolving problems calmly and respectfully. I gathered my documents, the deeds, legal records, and proof of ownership, and presented them clearly. Their response shocked me. Immediate dismissal. They claimed I had no standing. They argued their community was already established. To them, I was the problem, not the fact that they had built on my land. Polite discussions quickly turned tense. Emails went unanswered. Phone calls ignored. Meetings canceled without explanation. They simply stonewalled me. Their arrogance was infuriating. They truly believed they were untouchable. I tried again and again to explain the historical context of the land, to show them how the ownership had passed down through my family. But they didn't want history. They wanted comfort. Stability. The illusion that everything they built was secure. My frustration transformed into something stronger. Resolve. If they refused to acknowledge the truth, then they would have to face it another way. The time for friendly conversations was over. It was time for legal action. I contacted experienced lawyers, people who understood complicated property disputes. Sitting in their offices, I laid out everything: the inheritance, the construction, the HOA's refusal to cooperate. The case was complex. Historical deeds. Old property lines. Missing records. Decades of overlooked paperwork. We worked tirelessly, piece by piece, building a case that couldn't be ignored. Every document we uncovered strengthened my position. What seemed impossible at first slowly began to look winnable. The courtroom became the next battleground. Meanwhile, the HOA held meetings to rally residents. Some homeowners looked worried, realizing what this could mean for their future. Others were angry, convinced I was trying to take something from them. They didn't understand. I wasn't taking anything. I was reclaiming what was already mine. Day by day, the legal arguments grew more intense. Lawyers debated property law, historical precedents, and land rights going back generations. We uncovered forgotten records buried in archives, documents proving my family's long-standing claim beyond doubt. The HOA's defense began to crumble. Their confidence faded as evidence stacked higher and higher. This wasn't just about money or real estate anymore. It was about principle. About standing up against entitlement. About proving that ownership still meant something. The process was exhausting. Long nights. Endless stress. Emotional highs followed by crushing uncertainty. But every time exhaustion crept in, I remembered why I started. This land represented my family's history. And I refused to let it be erased. News of the conflict spread. Headlines began to appear, painting the story as a dramatic showdown between one rightful owner and an entire neighborhood. Public attention brought both support and criticism. Some called me brave. Others called me ruthless. I learned to ignore the noise. I made my position clear. I'm not playing nice anymore, I said. This is about justice. Each legal victory felt like a step forward. Each hearing pushed the truth closer to the surface. The land that once symbolized peace had become a stage for determination, resilience, and defiance. The emotional toll was heavy, but my resolve never broke. Every setback reminded me what was at stake. Every moment of doubt was replaced by the certainty that backing down would mean losing more than land, it would mean surrendering my legacy. Now, the battle continues. The future of these 1,200 acres hangs in the balance. Families wait for answers. Lawyers prepare their next moves. The courtroom remains the center of a fight that never should have begun. But I know one thing for certain. I will not yield. This inheritance was meant to be a new beginning, and instead became a test of strength. A test of patience. A test of justice. And no matter how long it takes, I will fight for what is mine. Because some things are worth standing up for. And this fight is far from over.